My name is Amy Clausen, and I'm the missions director at Bethel's Rock Church in Minnesota. Today, we have the honor and privilege of sitting down with Paul and Robin Kramer, missionaries to Thailand, and we are so excited to have them join us today. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're delighted to be here.
Yeah.
Well, let's just start off with you guys telling us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? How long have you been on the field? Who's over there with you? And so forth.
Yeah, let's see. We have four adult children who are all married, and we have 7 grandchildren. And we have been in Thailand since 2012.
Okay.
So we've been here for 13 years.
Yeah.
We're currently in the city of Chiang Mai. And during this season, we are leading a training hub for new missionaries that are coming out to the field. So that's been really exciting. And we have a lot of people here in Chiang Mai now, which is
Wow.
an answer to prayer.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you share a little bit? So that's what you're doing now. But that kind of, leads to a question of what were you doing before? So over the course of 13 years, have you been doing a lot of different things? Was it kind of, you did something for a long time and now this is a new season?
Yeah, when we originally came out as missionary associates, like a lot of people do. So our first 2 years, we were here in the city of Chiang Mai, running an English center with one of the local churches. There are now 7 Thai local churches here in Chiang Mai. At the time, there was 4.
Okay.
So we were teaching English and just coming alongside the church, helping them in any way we could. But just teaching English, building relationships with university students primarily, inviting them in, having fun with them, and just building relationships, like I said. And then our next term, we came back and we moved to the city of Lampang, which is about an hour and a half from here. So not too far.
Smaller city.
Smaller city.
Okay.
Yeah. We were one of few foreigners there, so everybody looked at us, told us the name Farang, and we're like, where? Oh, no, wait, that's us.
Farang is for a foreigner.
That's a foreigner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so during those couple of years, we planted a church in a city that didn't have a church.
Wow.
So we're part of a training team there. And then in 2018, we felt God's direction to come back to Chiang Mai. So we've been back here ever since. The last term, we were doing a lot of helping with some training for Thai people who were studying to be pastors, helping with some curriculum for that.
Yeah.
And then this term, we're leading what we call the hub. I said the training center for missionaries, but still working alongside the Thai church.
Yeah.
And helping in any way that we can.
Yeah.
That's great. So you talked about, starting that church in that other city, but you had previously, I think, been a part of, I would assume in some way, the churches, you said, I think it went from 4 to 7 in Chiang Mai. And so were you able to take, things that you had learned or, were you able to connect with people because you had already gone through that process of being a part of starting churches in Chiang Mai?
Yeah, I think that was, quite helpful to, we were real newbies to everything. And so we didn't really understand what it took, but we learned a lot when we moved to Lampang. And so, is this a point where I can go off on another thing?
100%. Whenever you want to go off and tell a story, that's the best part. So please do.
Okay, where was I then? I'm going back to something then. Yeah, because I'll go start to tell our history a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Then. Yeah, we were newbies, and so we really hadn't had a lot of experience doing it back in the States so much.
Yeah.
Because Robin and I both got saved when we were in our 40s, and we were working jobs, and then wasn't too long into it. I went on a missions trip and got baptized, and she went on another one and got baptized in the Holy Spirit. And we're like, well, wow, what is this? This is something really good,
Yeah.
So we went to our pastor and said, like, how can we become missionaries? We're not sure what that is, but I was teaching middle school in Rosemont, and Robin was an accountant, and so we were just working those jobs, and so we went on more trips, and we came over to Thailand, and we felt called to Thailand. Actually, when we landed, it's late at night, it's dark, it's a long trip there, and Robin comes up to me. It's about midnight, and
We came on a short-term dream.
yeah, I was on a short-term team for 1 week, and Robin comes to me, and she's all teary-eyed. It's the first time we've been over this side of the world. Do you feel this?
Yeah.
No, I do not feel this. I mean, it's a long ride, but hold that thought. And so, but during that week, we had lots of confirmations about, where we should be we see the pastors, and we were up rural.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, and I had goosebumps. I mean, the outside of the airport is nothing but parked cars and electrical wires. So
Yeah.
nothing attractive. And but I knew that something big was going to happen. And speak to it was really, really a cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, we were there for a week, and the very last day, our missionary that was leading us around, he showed us a church that he had planted, one of the churches, one of those, and he said, just go in and pray over it. So he dropped us off in the front in a van. We walked in, and he went around the side and parked, and we went up, and we, like normal, I went off to one corner, and I just prayed. We'd been on many trips because early on, it had been several years since we knew that we wanted to be missionaries.
Yeah.
Every time we'd go, we just pray, is this it? And show us God. And it never really felt that way totally. I mean, they were trips, but so I went in the corner, and I'm like, okay, Lord, is this it? I need to know. And I audibly heard, done deal. And so
Wow.
then I'm like, yeah. And, there was like a dozen of us, and I'd been on trips with every one of them. We'd been on trips, and so I'm, who's messing with me? One of these guys,
Yeah.
but nobody was near. So then I'm like, was that you, Lord? Done deal. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't,
Wow.
I don't think I should be coming here. Done deal. And then I'm starting getting all emotional,
Yeah.
crying and making excuses like, we're gonna miss our family. Done deal. We're gonna miss our kids because I'm gonna miss fishing. I love fishing and everything. So anyway, when it got all done, we got together. We, prayed and everything, and then we walked out, and he took us out the side door to the van, and outside there was a fishing boat on the wall, and so I'm like, "What's a fishing boat doing here?" And he's like, "Well, the pastor on his Sabbath every Monday goes fishing." And I'm like, "Oh, yes, we're called to Thailand."
There we go.
And so, yeah, God gives you what you want, not what you really
Yeah. Yeah.
so, yeah. So
That's
that got
good.
us to Thailand in 2012.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you get to Thailand, you know for sure that God has called you there. You've gone on a lot of trips up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
How were you feeling? Were you feeling like you had a strategy? You knew what you were doing. You were equipped.
No.
We felt like a 2-year-old.
We describe it as like a 2-year-old, or like even like an infant. Like we couldn't talk. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know what we were eating. So culture is a huge learning curve here.
Yeah.
We have to figure out, study a language. We still study language. 30 years later, we're still studying. It's a hard language. But just learning the culture, learning how to adapt, learning how to just live here.
Yeah.
But then at the same point also like learning how to, where do we fit in the ministry, serving, how are we helping? And then how do we also, it was probably for us the time that we learned the most about what it feels like to be attacked. And learning to just really have such a strong faith that you fight off those attacks, because we're in an environment that happens, and it happens right. So we realized right away, like, ooh, like we need to be as strong as we can, spiritually, emotionally, our relationship.
Yeah.
And so that was a learning curve, but of course it was fun as well too. I mean, it's not just all tough.
Yeah.
We live in an amazing place, and we have amazing food, of course,
Yeah.
and we get to go do amazing things and see God do amazing things.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, care to share? I mean, this is a great segue into sharing some of your favorite stories. We'd love to hear them.
Oh yeah, Paul would tell stories for hours, so I'll let him
Well,
start.
let's go.
Well, I'll be careful and slow it down, not too many details, but you got the ability to edit me out, so there you go. But so we learned early on that we need to have, like Robin was saying, we need to have a Sabbath. So we
Yeah.
got it a Saturday. Saturday is going to be our Sabbath, and
Good.
we stuck to that. And so one of the first ones,
Can I add?
yeah,
We're very different in the way that we Sabbath. Paul is very much an extrovert, and so a Sabbath for him is going out to find people to talk to, find people who are fishing, wherever he can go and be around people. And for me, I'm very much an introvert. So for me, it's sitting at home, reading a book, listening to a podcast. I that's how I recharge.
yeah.
So,
I learned that quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we call it date night.
Yeah, we reconvene at Saturday night.
5 o'clock. Yeah, let's
That's
call it
awesome.
date night. And then some of the other younger missionaries like, what do you mean date night? You're together all the time. I'm like, oh, it's different, you know? Yeah. And so one of those first ones, I had prayed about it. I'm like, I'd really like to meet a monk. They're kind of higher up on the hierarchical scale of everything. I'd like to get to know 'em. And that Saturday, I go, and I'm a morning person. I go pretty early. It was maybe 6:30 to the market. It must have been a little bit later because you were. Anyway, I was there early at the market, and I see this monk, and I walk in front of him, and he's standing there with a bowl because they get up early in the morning. They collect their food, and people come and give him alms or food and supplies, and he chants a little bit over them, and they think they've received something there. And I walked by him. I said, "Sawadee Kap." That's what he says, and which means hello. And he's like, "Sawadee," and then he's like, "Where are you from?" And as I'm walking, we're in that town. We're one of the few foreigners, and nobody hardly knows English, or especially he's about my age, and it just surprised me, caught me off guard. So we talked just for a few minutes, and then I said, "Hey, you got a phone?" Because they're wearing these big orange robes, all wrapped up in layers. And he whips open his little cloak, and he's got a blue flip phone in there. I'm like, "What's your number?" So I got his number,
Wow.
and then the next Saturday I called him up and said, "Hey, can I come to your temple and see you?" And which was right near the market, and I went there, and we're talking a bit, and then he's like, "Can I see your house?" Which is unusual because we can't get our neighbors in. It's just not the custom to go in, our houses. And so I'm
Interesting.
like, "Sure, come on, let's go." And so we're walking to the motorbike. I drive a motorbike most of the time, and he's in this big orange robe. And I remember Robin is having her Sabbath, sitting there. And so I get on the phone, and I said, "Hey, Robin, I'm coming home." She's like, "Okay." I said, "Got a monk with me." It's quiet. And so I said, "See you in 5 minutes." And
I was a little surprised.
yeah, and so and I was a little nervous because people and women in skirts or people like that, he sits side saddle on it, and he didn't hold on to me, at all, or the thing. He's sitting there in his orange robe, and I'm driving through town, and I'm like, man, if I dump this guy on the road, it's trouble.
Yeah.
Either I'm in Thailand forever, or I'm on a plane the next day. But anyway, that was just the start. I got tons of stories. I won't share them. We became friends for years and years.
Wow.
And yeah, I learned so much. I learned that monks can be married. He was married. I'm like, what? And
He hadn't seen his wife in over a year,
Okay.
and so Paul took him to see his wife about an hour from where we were living. And even when he went to visit her, monks cannot touch women, and so even his own wife, he
Wow.
wasn't able to even touch her.
Yeah, you're not even supposed to look him
Right.
in the eye, a monk. And so, and the strange part was, I'll share this too. He came into our house, and Robin saw him, and then he went off in the office, and we walked in our kitchen, and we've been doing ministry of park ministry. So we had badminton, badminton
Rackets.
rackets, badminton. We had badminton rackets, and he saw those, and he liked tennis. So he derobed. He took about everything off except his little Tarzan strap and a little orange bottom, And then he's showing me how to play tennis. And how about you?
And I came around into the kitchen to witness that, and I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not even supposed to talk to him normally, and then he's partially disrobed, and he has his amulets,
Oh
all of
my
his
gosh,
monk charm things hanging, and so I just
tattoos everywhere.
out of the
But
kitchen.
we love Goong. We've got, yeah.
Yeah, he taught us a valuable lesson though, in that we read textbook. Thailand is Buddhist, 95% Buddhist, less than 1% Christian. And so as a Buddhist monk, we learn about Buddhism, we learn about what monks do and all of the rules that they have.
Yeah.
But he was nothing like what we learned out of a textbook. He became a monk later in life, just so simply whatever he did after being a monk would be financially rewarding for him. And so he knew a lot of the American songs. That's how he learned his English. And he was a great tennis player. And so it taught us a valuable lesson, and that it's like, people are still people. And he was himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't share any more monk stories. His name is Goong, nice friend. So pray for Goong. He's no longer a monk, but he sent me a message again today. I get messages still regularly, and this was like 5 years ago or more than that.
It was almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
10 years ago.
We've kept connection that long. He sends me these little Buddhist picture of a temple or everything, and then I send him a Bible quote.
There we go.
And then we banter it back and forth. So pray for Goong. Yeah.
Wow.
How about you, Robin?
Yeah. One of my favorite stories is from that when we lived in Lampang, that same city. We were studying language with an older woman, just a sweet, sweet woman who was a retired teacher. And I was doing some other studying for a course I was taking, and I had to interview a couple of my friends. And so I interviewed 3 different women, different stages of life, different occupations, and the question to them was, how do you think we were created?
Wow.
And I got 3 totally different answers. One woman said, basically, I have no idea.
Was she a very Buddhist religion?
Because Buddhism doesn't really have a creation story. And so she just said, I don't know. The second woman said, well, there was another Buddha before this one. There were multiple Buddhas, and there'd be more to come. And it was something that I had never heard before. So I've done a little research, and there is a theory that there are multiple Buddhas, but that was her belief. And then the third woman, that was our sweet language teacher, she said, well, of course, it was the Big Bang Theory. And as a teacher, I wasn't too surprised that that's what she said. But then she kind of leaned into Paul and I, because a couple of her friends were in the room that we were in studying, and she didn't want them to hear her. But she leaned into us, and she said, if you tell me that your God sent you to me, then I believe that. I believe there is a God, because I know that he sent you to bless me. And so it's just like,
That's amazing.
So even for through all of her, she's over 70.
Yeah, she was.
Even through all of those years, we built a relationship that was strong enough or deep enough that she understood our faith, and she understood God, and knew who he was, and believed in the things that he did.
Wow.
Yeah. Could you share the other one with? You got one more story?
Yeah, I could share one more story.
See, who's telling all the stories?
We
Got her.
we were and Paul had mentioned before, we were doing ministry in the exercise park. We had moved to this city, and we were doing university ministry, but when we moved, it was still 2 or 3 months before the school started again. They were on summer break when we first got there, so we thought, well, where are the people? Let's go find some people.
Yeah.
And so Thai people like to exercise, and they do it collectively. And so each night at about 5 o'clock,
Hundreds of them.
everybody hits the park, and they do various things from running to soccer to Tai Chi to badminton to anything. So, so I met a woman at the park that was about my age, and we were working with university students. And so I thought, oh, hey, here's a woman that's my age. Like, hey, I can make a friend. And she knew some English, and I knew some Thai that we could communicate. And I asked her if we could get together for coffee so I could get to know her.
Yeah.
And she said yes. But the very first time we got together, we hadn't been there very long, and she looked at me. She actually spoke better English than I spoke Thai. So she looked at me and spoke in English, and she said, very straightforward with me, which isn't Thai culture. And so I was very surprised, but she knows that's my culture. And she looked at me and said, I know who you are, and I know why you're here. And she said, I want you to know that I will never be a Christian.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we hadn't even had one conversation about it.
Yeah.
I mean, but the word got around who we were and what we were doing. So
Apparently.
she already knew that. And we had a couple teams that summer, so a lot of people had been talking to her. And I just said, she caught me off guard, and I just kind of said, oh, I mean, I said, I mean, of course I want her to know the Lord. I want her to be saved. But I said, you know what? I just want a friend. And she said, okay. And that was the end of the conversation. But we continued meeting. We built friendships. We had her and her family in our home. We spent Christmas with them one year, and kind of explained, like, we spent Christmas with their family. They were like family to us.
Wow.
Now we don't live in that city anymore, so I don't get to see her as much. But just kind of another example of just so many seeds that get planted. And a lot of what we do is building relationships with people. And they see who we are. They often see how we're different.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll even ask us, like, what is it about you? Like, why are you like that? And we're like, well, what are we like? Well, we know we're weird. We know we're all weird, but what are we like? And they're like, you're usually happy. You have joy.
Yeah.
And you're like helping people. And so it gives us an opportunity to say, well, that's because we're Christians, and we live our lives in a way that follows Christ and his teachings. And some Buddhist people will see Jesus as a teacher, and they'll just kind of add him onto other teachers.
Sure.
And so sometimes for them to understand he's the Son of God, sometimes there's a little bit of a stretch. So often we'll go back to just starting with, instead of starting in John 3:16, we go back and start in Genesis, like God created us.
Yeah.
And this is why, and this is what we believe. So
yeah, that's good. So you were talking about, you mentioned earlier about how, hosting or having other people in your homes is just not something that is done in Thailand. And so I'm sure adding on to that list of things that, people notice are different about you guys is just, your willingness or your desire to do that. What are other things? Like, what are other cultural differences, things that, maybe are assumed as Americans or assumed as Christians are just kind of like the way we live that you have noticed is just not how they do things, kind of like that hosting.
Yeah, the culture is very different. I mean, as primarily Buddhists, they believe in reincarnation. They believe in karma, earning merit to have better karma, so that in their next life, they have a better life. And so it somewhat plays out in just this vicious circle of they're trying to do good, but they never enough.
Yeah.
Like they where they stand. And it's an earned thing, something they have to do. It's a works thing. And so it's a very collective society. And
Yeah.
so a lot of decisions are made based on what group you're in, your family, your friends. Decisions are made for the better of the whole group instead of yourself.
Yeah.
And so when we first came, it's often typical in this area, even or in collective societies, that when people become Christians, like a whole group, a whole family would become Christians
Yeah.
at the same time. But actually, lately, we're starting to see more people like make that decision individually, which is really amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
we're seeing people. The church that is kind of our home church here in Chiang Mai has one of the larger ones, has about 100 people in it.
Wow.
About 100 people Sunday, and just about every week there's somebody new in church, and that's not us inviting. We're the only
Yeah.
Americans there. Everybody else is Thai.
Really?
And so the Thai church members are inviting their neighbors, their friends, their coworkers, and people are, at the end they have the chance to make the decision to follow Jesus, and most often they do. Some of them, they don't quite understand what that means yet, but
Yeah.
at least it signals like that they're willing to learn. They're willing to seek out like and grow in okay, who is God?
Yeah.
Who is this Jesus that you talk about? What does this mean? How do I live as a Christian
Yeah.
in a primarily Buddhist society? Because that can be a tough thing too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are some of those things that you've realized are just some of the biggest, I don't know, the barriers or misconceptions or things that are just hard for people that have just grown up in a Buddhist culture, that is hard for them to just really understand? Like you had mentioned, not having a creation story is obviously huge because that's so central to the Christian faith. I mean, that's where it all begins, and so many principles start in that creation story. But are there other things like that you really have to, God really has to give revelation into those things, because there's not even something to connect with?
Right. It very much is there can be a big learning curve between what they and what we know and how we live. And so for them to even understand what Christianity is different than somebody in the US who's like, oh yeah, I know what that is, but I just choose not to be that. Here it's like they really don't have a clear understanding. And even in some areas, they've never even heard. I mean, we're in the city of Chiang Mai now. Chiang Mai is about 1 million people. Well, we don't have to go too far out into the villages, and there might not have ever been a Christian. There's not a Christian there. They might not ever have met a Christian. And so, oftentimes when we're traveling or out and about, people are always curious about who we are and why we're here and what we're doing, especially when they learn that we've been here for 13 years. And so we'll share that we work with the churches, and it gives us an opportunity to ask people, do you, are you a Christian?
Yeah.
And, most times they say no. Sometimes they know somebody who is. And so we'll ask them that. But, the big thing, like I said, is some people just don't have access.
Yeah. Well, a little bit more about Buddhism too. John 16 does not work. That's why we go back to Genesis. I don't know, because God so loved the world. Well, they don't. You shouldn't love too much. You got to be neutral and everything. That's not a good thing to love. He gave his only son, and the way he died, like, wow, he must have been a terrible death, that bad karma there.
Yeah.
For him to die on a cross signaled that he was a bad person.
Yeah. One and only son died, and so a lot of that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And even sometimes they're willing to learn about Christianity. A Buddhist person is willing to learn, but not willing to give up some of their things.
Right.
Some of the idols that they have, some of the things in their house, some of the like we would call like rituals that they do, of going to or doing things with their family. And there's also a mix. So, I mean, Buddhism, but here in Thailand, there's a mix of animism in it as well, too,
Yeah.
which is like the spirit world. And so in other forms of Buddhism, they don't have that. But here it's kind of mixed
Interesting.
into. So houses and buildings have what we call spirit houses, where there's a little house in front of the property, and Buddhist people put what did I put there? Food and drinks
To appease them so
to
that
appease the
they'll
spirit.
for their
Yeah.
property. But
Yeah.
curiously, what's the number one?
Well, they believe that they believe there's a spirit that protects their property, so they want to feed it. They want to make
Yeah.
it happy. They want to appease it, right? But yeah, the number one
The last.
beverage is red Fanta.
Yeah, that's what they like to give red Fanta for some reason. I don't know the story on that one, but
Interesting.
yeah,
So it's things like that,
Yeah.
mixing in things like that.
yeah. But one thing is hope too. I think we well, I kind of got to know a lot of monks then after a while. And one of the times we were on a plane, and a monk is sitting next to me, and I start chatting with him, and I acted like I didn't know anything. And then I said, "Well, how about this reincarnations? How long do you think that's going to take you to get where you go?" And he's like, "Okay, there's stories. Imagine all the beaches in the world. Then think of every piece of sand on those beaches. Each piece of sand is one life." Like, I'm thinking, how's that working for you? But I was like, well, that's like, they don't have hope,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We had remember the first couple of years we were here, when we were working with university students primarily. One of the students we were teaching English to became a monk.
Wow.
It's often is common in families when there's like a wedding or a funeral, somebody in the family to be the monk, and so sometimes young men will do that
Yeah.
for that purpose, or sometimes they'll do it for just a couple weeks or a month, because it's the one thing that you can do that somebody else earns merit for. Is that's for a young man to be a monk, his mother earns merit for that. Otherwise, it's all just whatever you do is for yourself. But so he invited us to his monk ceremony, and we thought, well, I don't know. What's the protocol? I don't know. Do you go to a monk ceremony?
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
And he told us, when we came in, he told us what to do. Go up and bow 3 times. And of course, we didn't bow, but we stayed in the back and just kind of observed a lot of things and watched the ceremony. And we're there to not promote or not encourage him, but to still be his friend.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the ceremony, he sent his aunt over to talk to us. His aunt had lived in the U.S. for a number of years, so she could speak English, and better than he could. And so he sent her over to talk to us, and
She was a Christian.
she was a Christian.
Okay.
And she said, we asked her, so how did you become a Christian? And she said, when I learned about Jesus, I learned about God, it was the first time that I ever felt like there was hope.
Yeah,
Wow.
Should I'd never had that feeling before.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And so she said, whatever you're doing, teaching my nephew, just keep doing that. So, yeah,
yeah,
often they have hope.
Yeah.
yeah.
So what would you say is some of the biggest sources of opposition? So obviously, there's this very, very deeply ingrained culture, and I am pretty sure from what I know that Buddhist culture is really ingrained in like every facet of life, and is just a very ancestral generational thing. So obviously that is a big hurdle. I think, like you were saying, the differences too between the different like holy books, and even just the nature of the deities, that Buddha versus God, there's so much differences. Are there things other than that kind of stand in the way? I mean, you mentioned that a lot of times that when somebody comes to believe in Jesus, it's like a family thing. So is there opposition, or is that, create some kind of a barrier of like, okay, if my family is not on board, then this is going to be harder for me to make this decision? Are there other things?
I think during the time that we've been here, when we first came, we felt there was a lot more opposition. I mean, it's an open country here. We can share, have a religious visa. That's how we're in here. They kind of say,
They kind of mock us a little bit because they say, you missionaries, you've been here for 200 years. What you do is good, but what you say is foolish. And so you're not ever going to make an impact here.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we have seen
quite an impact now.
We've seen quite an impact, but we've seen a lot of young people whose families have basically said, no, you cannot be a Christian. And so to go against that would be not culturally appropriate.
Sure.
And so we've even had a couple of young people who were Christian but didn't tell their families.
That was common. Yeah. Brown, but then no.
Yeah. I mean, they figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not too difficult to figure out. But and it, like you were saying, it's so the saying is to be Thai is to be Buddhist. So the religion is so ingrained in the culture that just about all the holidays revolve around Buddhism, and things that they do for those holidays are often around Buddhism. And so we actually had one of the holidays where we had a teaching with pastors and the university students of like, how can we do this holiday with the Christian perspective? Right? Instead of praising the river gods and the sky gods, let's praise the one God. If we want to release bad things, well, let's write down some of our sins and release those, but give those to God, not to some other being. That's just teaching that unless they have been in a relationship or have known a Christian, they just don't hear.
Yeah. So
there's also some other cultural things that.
Are you going to talk about picking the nose?
No, I wasn't going to talk about picking the nose, but now you can. That you mentioned.
There we go. Yeah, now you have to.
Nice segue, Paul.
Oh, okay. I'll change it up a little bit. Yeah, when we first got here, we through immigration, and people are picking their nose, and so then we learned that's so they have a long fingernail, the little fingernail, and I think in drugs, no, that's not for drugs. It's for something else, but. We physically are not supposed to be showing our teeth when we laugh. So when you laugh like this.
Okay.
Or like our pictures for our passports or driver's license, they no teeth, can't see your teeth. When you've got to pick your teeth with a toothbrush, you hide it and everything. But they openly, pick their nose. So it's just a different custom.
It's just a different culture.
Yeah.
We have things like that in the U.S. too. They're just not quite the same.
Yeah.
And another thing it took to get some used to too, they believe the head is the highest point and the most sacred part of your body. And so we can't like touch to the top of their head or go things over their head. And if you're in a room with a lot of people, they kind of get out and leave and do the duck walk so their heads aren't higher than everybody else. And so they take their shoes off when they go into a lot of rooms and places, so you work your way down, and the feet are the dirtiest part. And so if you show the bottom of your foot, that's pretty much giving them the finger. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but it's just some symbols mean it's one thing, this thing, and it's we've gotten used to that. We got to be careful with not flashing our foot, but they're pretty. They know we don't. Most foreigners don't understand that. We're not meaning bad about anything with that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Hey, can I share one thing that one of the big event that we had was in 2016, We had the king. We'd had a king for 70 years. I don't know. Do you know anything about our king?
No.
Okay, good. I'll share quickly.
Good.
So we had the same king for 70 years,
Okay.
and they loved the King Rama the Ninth.
He was a great king.
He really was. He helped the poor people, and he just did so many great things. And so then we were here during that time, and when the king died, everything shut down. I mean,
We were actually at a
retirement.
retirement celebration, a retirement party. There was
Yeah.
a number of people that were retiring, and because we were the token foreigners, we got invited, and so we're at this reception for them in the evening, and all of a sudden, everybody had their phone, and you could just tell in the air that something was wrong, and they told us that the king had died, and it was immediately the end of that celebration.
And for that
Everybody
first
left.
month, for 1 month, well, then it turned into 2 months, no music, no outdoor gatherings.
Wow.
We had to wear black for quite a while, and then it was black or white with the black ribbon on it for the first couple months. And so finally, after a few months, we could wear something other than black and white. But
That Christmas, there was a group in central Thailand,
Yeah.
a group of pastors that were planning a big Christmas outreach, and because all the celebrations got canceled, they had to kind of regroup, and instead they went to different villages and went to people's houses, and so they did outreaches kind of by going to houses,
Yeah.
and it sparked this house church
revival.
Really?
that has grown and grown and grown, and
Wow.
thousands,
Thousands and
more
thousands.
than 10,000 people have
Really?
said yes and been baptized.
That's incredible.
And so, yeah, and so it's kind of like one thing that impacted just the simple of the impact of not being able to have a large celebration
Yeah.
and being able to go in homes. God just used that
Yep.
as a revival in Thailand. So that was really cool to see.
It's so cool. They do 2,000 to 3,000 people at a time in the river in waves. They've been doing those, and it's like, wow, this, And it was there was no missionaries involved or anybody, it was
Really?
just Thai people. And
Yeah.
got interviewed, like, what did you
What's
do?
your method?
What's your method? What did
Yeah.
you do? And he's like, read the Bible and did what it says. I just shared it, and it's like, wow, okay,
Wow.
So that's still going on.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's something exciting that we can
Yeah.
share with you.
Absolutely. That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think we probably have time for one more story. And I know you've been like itching, Paul. Like, I think you have just this like collection of stories so just whatever pops in your head. We got time for one more.
One more story.
Yeah.
Could it be a goon story?
Sure.
Hey, can I interrupt? We can't see you. The screen's off. Is that okay? No, they can edit.
I think we're okay.
Okay. I got a goon story. Any of your favorites, Robin? Trying to think of one to tell or a story.
When we took him out for dinner before we left
Okay.
back in 2019.
Okay. Yep. And so we were leaving in 2019 to come back for our itineration. And at that point, Goong had just quit becoming a monk, and he started driving a song tao, which is like a pickup truck for taxi for fitting people in. So
Okay.
we asked him to come meet us, and he picked us up in that vehicle and everything. And then he took us out way up the river and to a nice fancy restaurant because we were flying out the next day and everything. And when we got there, there was a lot of armored cars and things there. And actually, one of the king's daughters was in town eating there. And so we got there and that experienced that and everything. But at the end of it, Robin, we kind of say, Goon, how can we pray for you, you
Yeah.
know? And he said, oh, for my family, and then I make more money and all these kinds of things. And then Robin says, oh, okay, but we're going to pray, you become a Christian.
Yep.
Then what did he say?
Yep. He said, his first response was, "You Christians, all you do is fight with the Muslims."
Oh,
Yeah.
And
interesting.
it just took us by surprise. We had
Yeah.
not heard that
Yeah.
before. And so we started explaining a little bit of, well, not everybody does that. And so we started this little banter back and forth, and
We got reincarnation, he said.
yeah, and we're like, we got heaven, and start singing the song "Stairway to Heaven" because
Have
that's
you ever
one of
heard
the
that
songs.
song?
That's one of
Yep.
the songs that he learned.
Oh,
That he
yeah.
learned English
Okay.
from. So we kind of lost him, but we were very clear that we were going to pray for him to
Yeah.
become a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me, you can cut stuff out, I know, whenever, but so then we go back to Minnesota, and we do itineration. We come back in 2020, early 2020, and I wanted to call him. Well, I tried to call, and he had changed his phone number and everything, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a God thing if I ever get to see Goong again,
Yeah.
And so it was about a year later. It was still COVID time. I was wearing a mask and everything. I'm down in the old city, and it's like 6:30 a.m. But I had my mask down, and I'm eating, and then I heard somebody, Paul, and it was Goong, and he lives a couple hours away from there, and he was just there for a couple days, and he had saw me, did a U-turn, and came and said hello, and we exchanged phone numbers. So I got to be in contact with him again,
Yeah.
and continue our friendship. So, I like that God brought him close back to me again.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Well, kind of the last thing that I want to check in with you guys about is we've kind of been talking about some exciting things that have been going on, like the revival with the house churches and the baptisms, and talking about what you guys are doing now as far as training missionaries with the hub. But what is it specifically that you are really just excited about, looking forward to, just really believing God for in this next year?
Yeah. Oh, that would be the hub.
Yeah.
We talked about it last year when we were on itineration, and we came back in January, April. We officially started, and it was like, this vision that God had given us to have a training center here in Chiang Mai. Came. We started doing the training. We did our weekly prayer and our small groups, and new missionaries came actually in December. We got back in January, and another one came in April, and we have 4 more MAs itinerating to come out to join the hub. And so it for us, it just is so great to see that vision actually come to be, because we know that we aren't forever, and so it's our way that we pay it forward to the next generation. Like, how can we help them assimilate into the culture? How can we help them live out what God has called them to do? And so we don't really have a cookie cutter, like everybody does the same thing. We have different ministries, and so we're real big on, like, what is God calling to you, and what are the skills and talents that you have, and how can you use them here? And so that gets us excited. So we actually rented a building now, and so every time we go in there, every time we have a training, we just have big smiles, because we know, like, the Lord is using it to train up people that will be here longer than we will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so when did you say that you guys started doing that again?
In April, just this year in April.
Okay. So go ahead.
We used to have, it was always 4 or 5 missionaries up here in Chiang Mai. We prayed for more missionaries. You know the count. What do we do there?
Yeah, well, so we have new missionaries. We also have some veteran missionaries that moved into Chiang Mai. Right now, there's 23 people here, 15 adults and 8 kids.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's so cool.
It's fun to see all these little kids now. We never had. Great.
Yeah, absolutely. So with MAs, I believe is that a 2-year term? And so you'll kind of have, I don't know, with the hub, is there like a graduation, or like what does that look like when they kind of come to the end of their time at the hub?
Yeah, missionary associates typically are 2 years. And
Yeah.
so the idea for the training piece of it is it's a 2-year program, or like a 2-year rotation. Basically, it's a year and then the same topics in the next year, but using different resources and different
Okay.
materials. And it's structured so that anybody can start. They can just jump in whenever they get here.
Okay.
So we haven't thought about a graduation.
Yeah.
We'll have to think about that. But the goal is not to have everybody stay here. The goal is
Yeah.
to have some of those go out into villages, go out
Yep.
with Thai pastors and places in other cities. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
So we think like a launching pad, a hub, like the hub of a wheel.
Yeah.
So,
So many of them, finish after 2 years. They've done a lot of good stuff, but
Yeah.
they just are done. But we want to
Okay.
have them come back and
Yeah.
and be much more effective for longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for doing that, because, I mean, keeping missionaries on the field, of course, we want, and are praying for people to be called to go. But, keeping missionaries on the field is so, so important as well. And I know, like you guys were saying earlier, something that you've kind of realized is like, okay, like monks are people, missionaries are people. And so, the fact that you guys can provide that support and that training, and just be championing these new missionaries to just empower them is just so important. So thank you guys for doing that. And thank you so much for sitting down with us and just sharing some of your stories. Would love to hear more, maybe on another podcast, but just so appreciate the opportunity to partner with you guys and be following along just on this journey that God has called you to, and you've been obedient to. And we, have a team that's coming out within the next month, I think it is, to work with you guys and just see even more closely what you do. And I'm so looking forward to hearing all the stories that they're going to bring back to us as well. So thank you again so much. And just honored to be able to have this partnership with you guys.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks you.
For letting us share, and thank you for all you do for the kingdom, all that Bethel's Rock Church does for the kingdom, and helping us so that we can be here.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. So
Thank you.
Sawadee Ka. Thank you on that one. Yeah.
Absolutely.